Action.
Welcome and good morning. Come, whoever you are, holding various beliefs, whatever your skin color or national origin, whatever your age or gender identity, whatever your abilities, whomever you love. You are welcome at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Statesboro. You are welcome in this, our religious home. We extend a warm welcome to any visitors and guests. Do we have any visitors and guests who would like to introduce themselves? All right, I think everybody's been here before. That tends to happen in midsummer weeks. If anyone were visiting, we'd ask that they give us some contact information. Guest in the guest registry or at www.uustatesboro.org so that we can send them more information. And thank you, members and guests, for sharing your resources during our offertory later in our service or again via our website. And in the month of July, half of our offering that is not designated as pledge will be donated to Pineland Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities in memory of June Hippolyta, who was a pioneer in community mental health, behavioral health services in Statesboro and the surrounding area. Now I invite you to join with me in reciting our congregational affirmation. Love
is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Our worship leader this morning is probably our most frequent worship leader recently, Pastoral Care Associate Sherry Vaughn.
Thank you, Al, and good morning, all.
Good morning.
We begin our service, as we always do, with the lighting of the chalice, which is a symbol of our religious heritage.
She's not sure about me.
This is our
Chalice of love and light, uniting us all by day and night.
And we will rise up, and Miller's going to start us off, and we'll rise up and sing together twice. Our chalice hymn.
Rise up, O flame, my glory, show to us beauty, richer and joy. Rise up, O flame, my glory, show to us beauty, richer and joy.
Thank you, Lord. Everyone, while we're standing, let's recognize the light within by greeting others that stand nearby.
Okay.
I couldn't get away with that.
Now is the time in our service when we have a story. We call it Story for All Ages. And we do try to have stories that the grown-ups enjoy as much as the younger people. So our speaker this morning, Dr. Adrienne Cohen, chose this story that I am happy to read for you now. Come on down, lady. It's called Last Stop on Market Street. It's got cool pictures too. So it's about a little boy named CJ. I think that's CJ here. Let's see if we can tell us who he is. See the pictures? The little boy's leaving church. CJ pushed through the church door, skipped down the steps. The outside air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. He ducked under his neighbor's umbrella, saying, "How come we gotta wait for the bus in all this wet?" "Trees get thirsty too," his nana told him. "Don't you see that big one drinking through a straw?" CJ looked for a long time, but he never saw a straw. From the bus stop, he watched as water pooled on flower petals, watching the rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Colby climbed into a car and gave CJ away and drove off with his dad. "Nana, how come we don't got a car?" CJ asked. "Boy, what we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire. And old Mr. Dennis, who always has a trick for you." The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. CJ sighed and climbed in as the door swung open. "What's that I see?" Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ears and placed it in his palm. Nana laughed, her deep, deep laugh, and she pushed CJ along. They sat right up near the front. The man across the way from them was tuning a guitar. An old woman with curlers had butterflies in a jar. Nana gave everybody a great big smile and a good afternoon. She made sure CJ did too. Lots of people on the bus. The bus lurched forward and stopped. Lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. "How come we always gotta go here after church?" CJ said. "Miguel and Colby never have to go nowhere." "I feel sorry for those boys," she told him. "They'll never get a chance to meet Bubba or the Sunglass Man. And I hear Trixie's got herself a brand new hat." CJ stared out the window, kind of feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zipping by on either side. He watched a group of boys hop the curbs on their bikes. He's riding in the bus looking out the window. Sounds like he's in a big city, doesn't he? A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave him his seat. "How come that man can't see?" he asked his neighbor. "Boy, what you know about seeing?" Nana said. "Some people watch the world with their ears." "That's a fact, and their noses too," the man said, sniffing at the air. "That's a mighty fine perfume you wearing today, ma'am." And Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed her deep laugh. "Oh, look, Betty, we got a puppy dog." Two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved on by and stood up in the back. See what the boys have in their ears? They got ear plugs going. Sure wish I had one of those, he said. Nana set down her knitting. What for? You got the real live thing sitting right across from you. Why don't you ask this man if he'll play us a song? CJ didn't even have to ask. The guitar player was already plucking strings, getting ready to sing. To feel the magic of music, the blind man whispered, I like to close my eyes. Nana closed hers too. And so did CJ, and even the spotted dog. Everybody's got their eyes closed listening. And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus, out of the busy city. He saw sunset colors swirling over crashing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky. He saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full, and he was lost in the sound. And that sound gave him the feeling of magic. Music can do that, can it? The song ended, and CJ opened his eyes. Everybody on the bus clapped, even the boys in the back. Nana glanced at that coin CJ was still holding in his palm. CJ dropped it into the man's hat. Last stop on Market Street, Mr. Dennis called. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus. Crumbling sidewalks, broken down doors, graffiti tagged windows, boarded up stores. He reached for Nana's hand. How come it's always so dirty up over here? He asked. She smiled and pointed up to the sky. Sometimes when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness of what's beautiful. CJ saw a perfect rainbow arcing up over the soup kitchen. He wondered how his Nana always felt beautiful when he never even remembered to look. He looked all around him as the bus was rounding the corner out of sight. He saw the broken streets lit up bright and the stray cat shadows moving across the wall. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he looked up and saw his friends he often saw at the soup kitchen. And he told his Nana, I'm glad you came. He thought his Nana might laugh at him, but she didn't. She patted him on the head, and she said, me too, CJ. Now, come on. See all their friends getting their lunch, sitting at the tables together. And that's the end of the story about CJ riding the bus to lunch. Thank you for listening. Let's stand up and do our affirmation together. The grown-ups will help us. Everybody stand up and face out obvious. There you go. Looking this way. We hold our hands up like this. And we say, we are
Unitarian, Universalist, people of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands.
Good job. We're all learning. So grown-ups forward, let's make our arch, and children, you'll get thrown out to go to your place together.
We shelter you and as you pass through, to help you learn and help you grow.
As we prepare to hear the morning message, Let's listen together to this and then go into a brief period of meditation.
Life I've always wanted, guess I'll never have. I'll be working for somebody else until I'm in my grave. I'll be dreaming of a life of ease and mountains, open outlines of night. Have a big expensive car, jack my furs on the ground. Have a man I can trust to bring me anytime. Everyone will look at me with envy and with greed. Now revel in their obsession and mountains, oh mountains of night. Sweet lazy life, champagne and caviar. Hope you come and find me. You know who we are. Those who deserve the best in life know what a money's worth. Those who sow misfortune, having mountains of nothing at birth. Oh, they tell me, still trying to save my soul. They tell me, now comes all the material things you gain by exploiting all the human race. So more than you need, this is a dream. Make you pop or make you clean. Don't die, don't let, have it all prearranged. Clear the deep and wide enough for me and all my mountains of time. Oh, they tell me, still trying to save my soul. They tell me, now counts all the material things you gain by exploiting of the human race. No fair I feel no only. Good people are their own way. My stepping stone. It's gonna take all my mountains of thanks to surround me. Evil, my enemies away. Keep my sadness and loneliness at bay. Life of a whore with a one side, yes I've never had. I'll be working for somebody else until I'm in my grave. I'll be dreaming of a life of ease and mountains, oh mountains of night. I'll be dreaming, 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 dreaming. I'll be dreaming, 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 dreaming. I'll be dreaming, 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 dreaming.
few moments of meditation. It gives me great pleasure to invite to our pulpit our own Dr. Adrienne Cohen to come and share with us.
Hey, yeah, very nervous. I used to, when I would do conference presentations, I would have a slide that said, "Who am I and what makes me think I know so much?" And I can't help but feel like this really applies today. Like, who am I and what makes... Anyway, what I really wanted to talk about today is not just about kind of poverty and what poverty is and what causes it, but more importantly, and most importantly, what each of us can do about the situation. So I'm going to start out by laying out a little bit of groundwork around what poverty is. Then I'm going to talk about some of the causes of poverty. And I will confess that I am a sociologist, so I look much more broadly at the larger causes. I do not really believe that poverty is caused by the individual, and I'll talk about that. But Sherry said I should be done about 1:15, so I think I said if I get to a certain point and I still haven't gone there, the last 10 minutes are going to be devoted to what we can do about it, because it always makes me feel very unhappy when I hear somebody lay out the nature of a problem and then they walk away and I think, okay, but because it's not hopeless. And we actually have a lot to do with what to do to alleviate it. So let me start out with what is poverty. Often poverty is thought of about as an urban issue and an issue of homelessness. An issue that is surrounded with people who have illnesses like mental health issues or addiction issues. And I'm not saying that that is not true, but I'm focused on rural situations and rural lives. And often the poverty in rural places is very hidden. And it doesn't look like what a lot of what we think about it. So I got some pictures of different places that made me think about poverty. And one of the things that I thought was really, so this one over here, in case any of you have, is the farmer's market, which poor people can't afford to buy the food at. So no offense to the farmer's market, God bless them all, but it's just not. So, but there's pictures from the food pantry and some other ones. So, and the other thing is, this is the thing where they give out food in the county, and they do that on a pretty regular basis, and my understanding is they always run out of food before they run out of people. In case you're wondering if we have a poverty problem here in the county-wide, yes, we do, no doubt. This is my favorite quote about poverty, and yes, it's on my t-shirt. And it says, the opposite of poverty is not wealth, it is justice. Because really, in this country, we have enough money that we could alleviate poverty very easily and quickly. And there is a decision made by the people that control policy and justice to maintain a system of poverty in this country. I'm not going to get into Marxist philosophy, although I could, around why, but trust me when I say the reason we have poverty in this country is because there is an intentional effort on the part of policymakers. And since we've had poverty all of my life, and there have been a variety of administrations, I'm not laying it at the hands of one particular party or another. I'm letting you know that this is an intention in our country to have poverty. I want to talk a little bit about my own experiences. I was given the gift, one of my jobs in my 20s was I worked at a place called Bowden Street Health Center, which was a health center in a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multilingual, very densely populated area of Boston. And I had the privilege of working with some women who were from a country called Cape Verde, which is an island off the coast of Africa, and used to be a Portuguese protectorate, may still be. But they had come from Cape Verde to the United States and settled in this neighborhood, Boston, where I was working. The way that Boston works is like, in that particular neighborhood, it's like, well, this is the street where the Cape Verdeans live, and this is where the Haitians live, and this is where the people from Laos live. And anyway, I was working with some of these women, mostly because they spoke Portuguese and I spoke Spanish, and somehow we could speak to each other. But here's what I learned from these women. These women were some of the hardest working people I had ever known in my life. Okay? They worked during the day doing childcare. They worked in the nights cleaning offices, and on the weekends they did whatever they could. And often they were single mothers living in what I would consider to be pretty dire situations. In Bowden Street, Boston is incredibly expensive, and it was in the 90s. There would be these apartments that would be like 3-bedroom apartments, and they would have 3 bedrooms and a living room and a kitchen and a dining room. And everything but the kitchen and the bathroom had a door on it with a lock, and that's where people lived. So they and their 3 kids would live in a room in this apartment. And I had asked multiple women, like, why did you come here? You know, like, I think about how beautiful and lush Cape Verde is, and, you know, why would you come all the way from there to here to live? And what many of these women told me was they did it not because they figured they would have a better life, but because they wanted a better life for their children. And I'm one of those children, right? Like, so my great-grandparents came here from a pretty dire situation and lived in poverty for a very long time. So I get it about the future. But the other thing that knowledge gave me was an understanding that poverty is not about laziness. I have never met anyone who works harder. Let me tell you, Bill Gates didn't work harder than these women. Elon Musk didn't work harder than these women. They will never be millionaires. They will never be billionaires. You know, they will never. So the idea that that poverty is a thing about working hard is one of the biggest lies that we get handed. I also want to talk a little bit about my own hard times. I don't know if any of you recognize this, but this is what a food stamp used to look like. And there were times in my life where that was how I got food for my family. And there were times when my health insurance came from the government, and I got a little monthly check, and I lived my life, especially when I had children. But here's the thing about my own hard times. If I really had a hard time, I had help that was just a phone call away. I had parents that had enough money that if I needed help, they would provide it for me. And in fact, my mother would come and visit me when I was living in Vermont with a trunk load of things like paper towels and toilet paper and all this. She'd been told you can't get this stuff on food stamps, so she would bring me that. So I don't understand the daily life of somebody who lives in poverty because I don't have that experience. I just don't. And to pretend as if I understand, I do not. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about some research that I did, but I'm noticing like I got like 5 minutes to lay the ground on this, but I want to tell you a story. So anyway, the challenges of helping others. In some interviews that I did with low-income folks, and I'll give you one concrete example. There was one woman and she owned a car. Now it was not a great car, but she had it. And many of the people in her life who were also poor did not have a car. And so one of the things that she had to do, going backwards, okay, one of the things she had to do was people would ask her, can you give me a ride to the grocery store? And she had to make a decision. If she said no, if she said yes, then it would cost her the money of the gas. Sometimes I would give her money on gas, but it was a crappy car, and if it broke down, she was going to be the one that was going to have to pay the repairs. And so it was hard. But then if she said no, then she was not given the reciprocal relationship of the next time she needed help from somebody, that person would remember that she said no. So there was no good answer to can you help? And often there's daily struggles. So, I was thinking about like an example, and I'll give you one from the criminal justice system. If I got pulled over for speeding and I got a speeding ticket, I would pay it. If I'm poor and I get pulled over for a speeding ticket, I can't afford to pay it. And I can't afford to go to court because I can't take the day off because I don't have a day where I can take the day off, okay? So I can't take the day off. Now the fines go up, and they go up, but I still don't have the money. Now I especially don't have the money because the fines are really, really high. And one day I get pulled over and I have like a $500 big warrant out for my arrest. Now I'm in jail. Now I'm in jail, but I can get out because all I have to do is pay a $1,000 bond. And the bond bailment says, but it's only $100. If you give me $100, you can get out. I don't have $100, right? So you see the problem. We get this situation where things compound, okay? They compound. And the last thing I want to talk about with regards to my observations are these things called weak ties. It's this idea that, we have this social network that we interact with, but for people who have limited resources, often their social network is other people with limited resources. And you have these close ties, but you also have these weak ties. Weak ties are like people that you're not necessarily close to, but they know that they're hiring over at the dollar store, right? So they'll let you know about the job. Now, my weak ties are people who know about pretty high-level work, sometimes, right? They know they can connect me with things that will pay me pretty well. But somebody with who has less resources, who their network is mostly people who are low income, they don't have that advantage, right? The people that they interact with just don't have the resources. So that is part of what perpetuates that. Okay. I want to talk just a minute about a living wage, and like I said, I was going to start talking about solutions soon, so I don't have much time. But let me just say this, okay? So this is the living wage calculator from MIT, and you can go online and check it out. So I checked it out for Bullitt County, and I'm just going to show you this. So the living wage this is how much hourly a person should earn in order to be able to care for themselves if they live in Bullitt County. Here's the minimum wage is $7.25, which it has been for almost, I don't even remember, a very long time, many years. And then if you get paid minimum wage, it doesn't even bring you to poverty. It doesn't even bring you enough wage to live in poverty. And I just wanted to show you this one. This over here is if you have a 2 adult and both are working, and you have 2 children, 2 adults and 2 children, you have to earn about $22.16 an hour in order to be able to support them. So this idea of what is a living wage, that is part of the problem, is that in this country, both the poverty wage, which is, by the way, the poverty level is what a lot of these government programs say you have to live below the poverty. Sometimes they'll say 200% below poverty. But I just quickly want to be clear that the government's not handing a bunch of people a bunch of money and they're not getting enough, right? So it's just not true. It's an enormous lie that there's this government money that lazy people are getting to do nothing. So what are the causes of poverty? I can summarize this in 3 minutes. No, I can't. Okay. So hopefully it's not, you have the idea that it's not an individual problem. It's a structural problem, right? So the reason that the policymakers like this structural blame the victim kind of thing is that if this problem is that you are not working hard enough, then you are the solution. You have to work harder. If the problem is structural, then policymakers have to do something about it, or I have to do something about it. So, can I have just an hour? So I want to talk about just a quick, some of the underlying causes. And these are them. So racial discrimination, my favorite example is Heather McGee's book, The Sum of Us, which looks at the fact that we used to have these public pools, but then during desegregation, white people didn't want people of color to be swimming in the same pool at the same time, so they got rid of all the pools. Now, I don't have a pool and you don't have a pool, right? And that's just one example of many of how racial discrimination. Redlining is another really good example of, when people of color couldn't buy houses in their neighborhood, couldn't get mortgages to buy houses, that meant they didn't own a house and they couldn't pass that wealth down to the next generation. So part of the reason we have intergenerational poverty, and people say, well, we don't have redlining anymore. Well, I would argue that, but I also would say, even if we don't, people who have dealt with this generations before, they're still not passing down the wealth. The legal system is another example. We think justice is blind. Justice is not blind in this country. If you have created a criminal act, then you could potentially, if you have a low income, get a public defender. But if it's anything that's not criminal, so if you want a divorce or you're fighting against a landlord because you're getting evicted, none of that is available to you. The law does not provide for low-income folks for that. All right, I'm going to move on. To just say, this is what policymakers say. Policymakers try and sell us on this. The elites hoard all the resources, all the money, all the land. This is happening and happening exponentially fast right now. Then they pretend that this is natural, unavoidable, or ignore it altogether. Then they attempt to address the problems with only the money that's left over. We only have this limited amount of money that we can use to help people who are struggling. And then poverty doesn't decrease because things like, oh, we give them food stamps, like it doesn't work. Oh, see, so that problem is, that's the best we can do. All right, solutions. My favorite quote about solutions comes from Trevor Noah in his book, Born a Crime, which you haven't read. If you haven't read it, it is a crime, so read it. Okay. People love to say, give a man a fish, and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he'll eat for a lifetime. What they don't say is, and it would be nice if you gave him a fishing rod. That's all part of the analogy. That's the part of the analogy that's missing. And I think that gives you some idea about poverty. Okay. What can we do? So this is my list. Yeah, okay. This is my list. Tip with cash. Simple. Like, I'm giving you these things. I could talk about structural changes that we could make, but let's be honest. This is not the time for that conversation. What can I do? I can tip with cash. Canned cash. Have cash in your bag. I know, we're not a cash society anymore. Become a cash person. Have some. Tip people who you don't usually tip. They started doing this and I was furious. I'm at Panera and the woman behind the counter wants a tip. They should pay her better. Well, you know what? Yes, they should. And I can give her a little something. So give her a little something. Give money to people on the streets that are asking. By the way, I want to be clear. I don't do all of this. Some of these things I'm very bad at. So this is a conversation I need to have with myself. I have always felt that giving money to somebody on the street, either they're going to use it to buy drugs, and what happens if they have a drug overdose? And don't give them that money. Or it's one of those scams. You give them money, and then I'll go buy them strawberries and give them strawberries. Give them money. Just give them money. Like, what's it going to kill you to give them $10? Just give it to them. And I'm saying this to myself. Okay. Oh. Stop putting boundaries and requirements on the money that is given to families and individuals in poverty. When I get my paycheck, it does not say, okay, here's this amount of money, but you can only use this money for food, and you can only use this money to heat your house, and you can only use this money for whatever, right? We need to stop doing that. We need to give money to people and know that they will be able to make their own decisions about what they're going to do with it, and that they know better than me how to invest that money, how to use that money. There was a lot of resources that were given during COVID, and some folks used the money for amazing things. Like an example, this is through my research, one guy, he bought a lawnmower, and now he has a lawn service, and he can make some money. Another woman used it to invest in things to do people's hair. Now she does people's hair in her trailer, and she makes some money from that, right? I wouldn't have said that. You can only use it for food, or you can only. Okay. Don't NIMBY for zone changes. So what does NIMBY mean? NIMBY means not in my backyard. And I'm going to go ahead and give you my NIMBY example, okay? I live in a housing development, one of those HOA places. And there was some land, there were cotton fields between us and the main road. And there was a variance that was put in to allow for multifamily housing to be put in. And we have a Facebook page. And it went around and everybody was supposed to sign this petition that said, no, we don't want a multi-family use dwellings. By the way, let me just tell you, they were like fancy townhouse dwellings. It wasn't like, whatever. It wasn't gonna be low-income housing. It was just apartments, right, with townhouses, really high-end stuff. But I refused to sign it. I feel good about that. I did not show up at the county board to speak up and say, actually, we are desperate for housing, and we should have this housing, and my house has a half an acre of land, and that's gonna increase the value of my property because I have a lot more land than these guys. Like, logically, it was to my advantage to pass this. But also my heart said, these are my neighbors who need places to live. We do not have enough housing in this town. So what I didn't do, and I will confess this, I didn't show up. I just said, no, I'm not gonna sign your. I remember the woman knocking on the door, telling me about the petition, and she wanted me to sign it, and all I said was, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sign it. I did not explain it to her. I should have, as to why, right? Because just because somebody's poor doesn't mean that they're gonna rob you, which I hate to say it, but my discussion with one of the people in the neighborhood explained to me, that if those people moved in, and if you think those people were like middle income white people, which is probably who they're gonna be in his head, no, they were not. Anyway, no NIMBYs for zone changes. Allow multiple families. We have a housing crisis in this county that is going to get worse and worse and worse. So allow multiple families. Okay. Pay people a living wage. I showed you the numbers, right? So often we are given this opportunity. And I will tell you, so when I have written research grants, I have often written in that, let's see your fact, that my graduate assistants would get paid $15 an hour. Usually they get about $8. And they should be lucky because they're getting all of this experience. Please. So I don't mean to brag on myself, but I think we are all given opportunities. People that maybe work in the underground income kind of wage things. People that mow our grass, clean our house, all of that. We could pay them a living wage, maybe even a little more than a living wage. And when you're given the opportunity, allow people to get paid a living wage. They're going to be better workers for you if you do that, by the way. Paying people very little does not get you more, it gets you less. Don't be a white savior. Don't be a white savior. And what does that mean? It means don't assume that you know what's best and you're gonna be there to help because you care. Listen to people about what they need and then help them to get those things. People living in poverty are much better at managing their own money, and you can learn from them. I just get so angry when they have these programs that say, yes, we'll give you money, but you have to take this class on how to manage your money. I'm sorry, but somebody who is living on so little amount of money that they qualify for government benefits, they know a hell of a lot better than anybody else how to manage their money. Stop thinking that the problem is that. You can learn from that. And maybe that last little phrase is the most important. I will end with it, which is learn from them. If you want to know what to do to alleviate poverty, talk to people who are living on very little money. If you want to know how to be helpful, ask them how you can be helpful. Okay, I will just say one other thing. Be somebody's weak tie. Help somebody get a better job. Pull someone out. You can do that. You have connections. Use them. Use them, because otherwise their weak ties may not be so great. All right, well, I'll tell you, I had ChatGPT come up with a list, but I told Sherry I would end 3 minutes ago, so I'm going to tell you right now. ChatGPT will give you some really good ideas, but I just gave you a whole bunch of them, so you don't need to. And I will stay for potluck. Yeah. Awesome. Hopefully it'll work.
As Adrienne said, now is the time for our offering, and she has some beautiful music to select. So we appreciate you giving some time to support the work of our congregation.
When it's time to sell your home, you hope you're interested in the market. Interest rate.
That's what I often do.
She called out to the man on the street. Sir, can you help me? It's cold and I know where you sleep. Is there somewhere you can tell me? He walks on, doesn't look back. He pretends he can hear her. Starts to whistle as he crosses the street. Seems embarrassed to be there. Oh, think twice, 'cause it's another day for you to be in paradise. Oh, think twice, 'cause it's another day for you to be in paradise. She called out to the man on the street. He can see she's been crying. She's got blisters on the soles of her feet. She can't walk, but she's trying. Oh, think twice, 'cause it's another day for you to be in paradise. Oh, think twice, it's just another day for you. You'll be in paradise.
These gifts are received and appreciated. Now is the time in our service for sharing of joys and concerns. If you have anything on your heart you'd like to share with this group this morning, you're invited to come and do so. You can rise and speak from where you are, or come down, light a candle, or place a stone in the water in token of your joy or concern.
It's a stone of remembrance for a long time chair of GSU's geography and geology department, Fred Rich, who died, I think yesterday or the day before. He was very enthusiastic about science, and he shared that with a lot of people.
Thank you, Fred.
I think all concerned about those poor people in Texas. I mean, everybody knows about it. And it's not just the loss of life, it's a loss of everything, you know, the houses, all the possessions that burned through. And as the policeman says, there's no closure. That's what he said there. No closure. And it was on the 12th of July, and I think that they never
yours.
Jerry, if you could just put a stone in there for me. Just grateful to getting a chance to hear Adrienne talk this morning. I've learned so much from this woman, and it was just nice to hear her. And also, just for this a stone, also for this place, that that this is something that we all recognize affects us all. And it's glad to be here in the church with you all this morning. Thank you.
I want to light a candle of love and support and trust and hope for my friend Cynthia, who didn't tell me I could do this while she was here, but I love Cynthia, we all do, and we wish her well in her surgery on Tuesday, and her journey going forward. Another candle for the joys and concerns we may carry in our hearts that we're not ready to speak into the world. This is for those. Allow me to speak a word of prayer. We hold in our hearts what we hear in this place together. We remember, as it is part of our covenant with one another, that we try to stay open and supportive and appreciative. We really are all in it together. And it's a blessing to come to a space where you can look around and know people care and be part of that care and recognize and honor our responsibility to one another. May that ever be so. Amen. And blessed be. We can now sing together, and when we play for us, we can sit in place and sing together, Spirit of Life.
The UFS board meeting is online on our Zoom tomorrow at 7 p.m. I think there will be a lot of agenda this time because we've had a lot of things decided already for moving forward. I have time to keep it that way, but if anybody has anything you want to add, let me know. Anybody can tune in through the Zoom on our website.
Thank you, Al. Other announcements? I can just say a word of appreciation to our President Al, who successfully solicited people to do the things that keep us going, many things, one of which is Al's job. And I think we did not have anybody sign up for refreshments today, so we may have had a last Oh, okay, good. I'm great, Bob. Thank you. So after when we break, there will be refreshments, and then we're invited to come back and sit in circle with Adrienne and talk about the morning's topic. The other volunteer I wanted to talk about, did successfully solicit me and Mike and June to have programs scheduled through the summer, because we don't have a minister until one starts in August. So we have something planned for you for every Sunday. Show up. And then he has also successfully solicited me and Alicia to plan programs for the fall. So our minister will be here most third or sometimes third and fourth Sundays. The new minister who's coming in August tomorrow. But the other Sundays are to be filled locally. So if you would like to help Alicia and me decide and find and solicit and work with people, the other opening is worship leaders. So right now, Teresa or me or who else does it sometimes? June. The three of us are the worship leaders on camp. But there will be a training soon. And Teresa is going to spend a couple of hours on a Saturday morning working with folks who are willing to take that on. So come and let me know you're interested, and we'll get you on that list, and you can come and see if that might be a place you would like to fill in and help you. Okay. What else am I forgetting? Is there anything else we need to talk about? All right. Then we have a new closing song. We also can thank our music people who are active in trying to get us organized enough that the worship leaders can move us smoothly through music in the service. So we have a closing song we will hear as we depart, and then come back after you get your coffee and sit and serve. Sing on.
To be simple, 'tis a gift. To be free, 'tis a gift. To come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn, we'll be by the light, till by turning, we come round right.
Nice. We are dismissed. Have coffee and come back.
Well, it's funny because I scheduled the music break Zoom meetings, but I got my calendar on the wrong day.
Hey, Barbara. Studying things. Blair from your shirt.
Okay. Yeah, I started going last year. I got original silver, so I have to Oh, the potlucks. Yeah. Awesome.
Just over here, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea.
I don't know that they've changed.
First one? Yes.
So are you Catherine? You were-
There's a little bit.
You seem to know.
And I woke up just by happenstance at like 8 o'clock or so. Yes, it all worked out. We have this like I did.
Telling you about our program.
Okay. And please,